a high-stakes mission to take down a rogue operative with ties to the highest echelons of power. In the shadows of Washington, D.C., where corruption runs deep, Matt Rook, a seasoned operative turned vigilante, has been tracking a mysterious figure known only by his code name, the Archon. His latest target is rumored to be connected to the corrupt government agency responsible for his own past traumas. The stakes are high, and the game is on. Rook's eyes scan the streets of D.C., his mind racing with possibilities. He knew every alleyway, every backroom deal, every whispered secret in this city. But he also knew that nothing was as it seemed. The Archon, or the Archon, a man shrouded in mystery and secrecy. Rook had been tracking him for months, following threads of cryptic clues and hidden messages. His reputation preceded him, a ghost in the shadows, always one step ahead of his enemies. But this time, he had reason to believe that the Archon was more than just a myth. The CIA operative Rachel Jenkins watched Rook's every move with a calculating gaze. She had been tracking the Archon for years, but her methods were outdated and her goals unclear. Still, she knew that if Rook were to succeed in his mission, it would be a game-changer. Rook navigated the crowded streets of D.C., avoiding eye contact with passers-by as he made his way to the National Mall. The White House loomed before him, its marble facade gleaming in the sunlight. He knew that this was the target they had been searching for. As he approached the monument, a gust of wind buffeted him, sending papers fluttering to the ground. Rook's eyes scanned the area, his instincts on high alert. This was more than just another mission. It was a matter of life and death. He ducked into the shadows, blending in with the crowd as he made his way to the National Archives building. The sound of rustling papers and murmured conversations grew louder, drawing Rook closer to his target. Inside, he found Rachel Jenkins waiting for him, her eyes fixed on a stack of documents. She was a master manipulator, but Rook had been outsmarted before. He knew that she would stop at nothing to get what she wanted. Rook's gaze locked onto the documents, and he began to analyze them with his characteristic speed and efficiency. The CIA operative watched him, her expression unreadable. For a few moments, they simply stared at each other, the tension between them palpable. Rook knew that Rachel was not as simple as she seemed. There was something beneath the surface, something that made her tick. And then, just as suddenly, it was over. The documents were in his hands, and he knew that he had a window of opportunity. But as he turned to leave, he felt a tap on his shoulder. "Rook," Rachel said, her voice low and husky. "I think we need to talk." Rook's eyes narrowed. This was it, the moment they had been waiting for. He knew that Rachel had a secret, one that could change everything. For now, he would play along. But in his mind, he was already thinking about the game ahead. The Archon was more than just a name. He was a key to unlocking the secrets of DC's darkest corners. Rook's eyes locked onto Rachel's, and they shared a moment of mutual understanding, two sides of the same coin, each vying for control in the shadows of this city. And then, without another word, Rook turned and disappeared into the night, leaving Rachel to wonder what lay ahead. The night of the Archon. Rook's eyes scanned the crowded streets, his mind racing with possibilities as he navigated the narrow alleys of DC's West End. The neon lights of the bars and clubs cast a gaudy glow over the sidewalk, illuminating the faces of passers-by, but not providing much insight into the night ahead. He had been tracking the Archon for months, following threads of cryptic clues and hidden messages that led him from the dimly lit alleys to the high-end restaurants on Pennsylvania Avenue. His reputation preceded him, a ghost in the shadows, always one step ahead of his enemies. As he turned onto 14th Street, Rook's gaze fell upon a black sedan parked near the intersection of 16th and D Streets. The tinted windows reflected the streetlights like mirrors, but something about it caught his attention, a small, almost imperceptible movement that made him pause. He approached the sedan with caution, his senses on high alert as he listened to the sound around him. The distant hum of traffic, the chatter of pedestrians, and the faint sound of jazz music drifting from a nearby club created a cacophony of noise that masked any potential threats. Rook reached out to his phone's built-in camera and snapped a quick photo of the sedan, but he knew it was futile. The image would never be captured by any human eye. He tucked his phone back into his pocket and continued on his way. The night air was thick with anticipation as Rook walked through the streets, each step drawing him closer to his target. The Archon's trail led him through the upscale boutiques of Georgetown and into the city's nightlife district, where clubs and bars pulsed with energy. As he turned onto M Street, a group of rowdy partygoers spilled out of a nearby club, their shouts and laughter carrying through the night air. Rook blended in, his eyes scanning the crowd for any sign of the Archon. That was when he spotted him, a tall, imposing figure standing near the exit, sipping on a whiskey. The Archon. Rook's heart quickened as he recognized the man, but there was something off about his demeanor, a hint of calculated calm that sent shivers down Rook's spine. He had been tracking this individual for months, and yet something about the Archon felt familiar. Without warning, Rook lunged forward, dashing into the crowd with a swift motion. The Archon didn't flinch, his eyes never leaving Rook's face as he sidestepped through the throng of partygoers. Rook expertly weaved through the dancers, using his knowledge of the city's layout to evade detection. But the Archon was not one to be underestimated. He had been tracking Rook for years, and he knew every hidden alleyway and secret spot in this city. As they burst out onto the sidewalk, Rook could feel the air thicken with tension. The Archon took a step closer, his eyes narrowing as he assessed the situation. "You're just in time to witness history, Rook," the Archon said, his voice low and husky. Rook's instincts screamed at him to retreat, but his feet seemed rooted to the spot. "What are you talking about?" he demanded, trying to keep his voice steady. The Archon smiled, a cold, calculated smile that sent shivers down Rook's spine. "I'm talking about the end of your precious game, Rook. You see, I've been playing a little trick on you." Rook's eyes narrowed as the Archon took another step closer. He knew that this was it, the moment they had been waiting for. "I'll never let that happen," Rook growled, trying to keep his cool despite the growing unease in his gut. The Archon chuckled, a low, menacing sound that sent chills down Rook's spine. "Oh, I think you will, Rook. You see, the Archon has other plans for you. Plans that involve one very important person." Rook's eyes locked onto Rachel Jenkins' face, her expression unreadable as she watched him from across the street. "What do you mean?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The Archon's smile grew wider. "You'll find out soon enough, Rook. But for now, let's just say that your world is about to become very interesting." With that, the Archon vanished into the night, leaving Rook staring after him in confusion and frustration. What did this have to do with Rachel Jenkins? And what lay ahead? Rook knew one thing. His mission had just gotten a whole lot more complicated. The night air seemed to thicken around Rook as he followed the Archon through the crowded streets of Georgetown. They moved in tandem, their movements choreographed by years of experience and training. The Archon led him on a wild goose chase through the upscale boutiques and restaurants, always staying one step ahead. As they turned onto M Street, a group of rowdy partygoers spilled out of a nearby club, their shouts and laughter carrying through the night air. Rook's eyes scanned the crowd, searching for any sign of the Archon. That was when he spotted him, a tall, imposing figure standing near the exit, sipping on a whiskey. The Archon's eyes met Rook's, and for a moment, they locked gazes in a silent understanding. Then, the Archon nodded subtly, as if acknowledging something without saying a word. Rook took advantage of the brief moment to slip away into the crowd. He blended in seamlessly with the other partygoers, his eyes scanning the faces around him for any sign of the Archon. That was when he spotted her, Rachel Jenkins, standing across the street from the club's entrance. Her expression was unreadable, a mask that seemed to shift and change as she watched Rook. The Archon had left Rook in a precarious situation. He knew it, but for now, he couldn't afford to let his guard down. Not until he had uncovered the secrets the Archon sought. Rook's eyes flicked back to Rachel Jenkins, her gaze lingering on him for a moment before she turned away. He felt a spark of recognition. This woman was not what she seemed. But Rook didn't have time to explore that thought further. The Archon was already gone, vanished into the night like a ghost. As he continued his pursuit, Rook's mind whirled with questions. What secrets lay hidden behind Rachel Jenkins' mask? And what role did she play in all of this? The city seemed to stretch out before him like an endless labyrinth, full of twists and turns that promised to lead him deeper into the heart of the Archon's game. Rook knew one thing. He had to find a way to expose the Archon's true intentions. But as he disappeared into the crowd once more, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. That Rachel Jenkins was playing a long game, and Rook was just a pawn in her intricate web of deception. The night air seemed to thicken around him again as he vanished into the shadows, leaving behind only a whispered promise. You'll find out soon enough, Rook. But for now, let's just say that your world is about to become very interesting. With that, the Archon vanished into the night once more, leaving Rook staring after him in confusion and frustration. Rook knew one thing. His mission had just gotten a whole lot more complicated. As he walked away from the club, Rook couldn't shake the feeling that he was being pulled toward Rachel Jenkins. He felt like he was missing a crucial piece of information, something that could change everything. He quickened his pace, his eyes scanning the crowded streets for any sign of the Archon or Rachel Jenkins. But as he turned onto 14th Street, he realized that he was lost in thought. The city seemed to have swallowed him whole, and he had no idea where he was going next. The neon lights of the bars and clubs cast a gaudy glow over the sidewalk, illuminating the faces of passers-by, but not providing much insight into the night ahead. Rook's eyes locked onto Rachel Jenkins' face in his mind, her expression unreadable as she watched him from across the street. He knew that he had to find a way to expose the Archon's true intentions, no matter what it took. But for now, Rook was trapped in a sea of confusion and uncertainty. And all he could do was keep moving forward, driven by his determination to uncover the truth. Rook's eyes narrowed as he scanned the crowded streets, his mind racing with questions about Rachel Jenkins' true intentions. Who was she really? And what role did she play in the Archon's game? He quickened his pace, weaving through the crowds of partygoers and tourists alike. The night air seemed to thicken around him again as he disappeared into the shadows. Rook ducked into a narrow alleyway between two buildings, his eyes adjusting to the dim light. He was starting to get lost in thought, or perhaps he was just searching for a new lead. Either way, Rook knew that the Archon was always one step ahead. As he caught his breath, Rook's gaze drifted up and down the alleyway. The walls were lined with trash cans and dumpsters, casting long shadows across the wet pavement. It was quiet, too quiet. Rook's eyes locked onto a figure standing outside a nearby restaurant, their back to him. Rachel Jenkins' face stared back, her expression unreadable. Rook felt a jolt of recognition. This woman was not what she seemed. But he couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to her story. He took a deep breath and turned away from the alleyway. The restaurant's neon sign beckoned him toward the street, its bright lights casting an unforgiving glare on the pavement. Rook pushed open the door and stepped inside, his eyes scanning the crowded dining room. The tables were filled with people from all walks of life. Young couples sipping cocktails, rowdy groups laughing and joking, and the occasional businessman typing away on her laptop. The air was thick with cigarette smoke and the hum of conversation. Rook spotted Rachel Jenkins sitting in a corner booth, her eyes fixed intently on him as he approached. He slid into the booth across from her, his back to the door as he ordered a whiskey from the bartender. Rachel's gaze never wavered, but she didn't meet his eye either. As the bartender poured their drinks and Rook waited for them to arrive, Rook leaned in close to Rachel's ear. "You're playing me, aren't you?" he whispered, his voice barely audible over the din of the restaurant. Rachel's eyes flickered up to meet his, a hint of amusement dancing across her face. But she quickly suppressed it, returning to her intense stare. Rook felt a shiver run down his spine as their gazes locked in a silent understanding. He knew that he had to tread carefully. Rachel was a master manipulator, and Rook wasn't sure if he could trust her at all. The drink arrived, and Rook took a sip, trying to process the conversation they had just had. What did Rachel want from him? And what secrets lay hidden behind her mask? As he sipped his whiskey, Rook's eyes scanned the restaurant once more. He spotted the Archon standing near the door, their back to him. But for now, he was still one step ahead. The night air seemed to thicken around them again as they moved through the crowded room, their movements fluid and deliberate. It was clear that this was just a brief encounter, but Rook knew that it would only be a matter of time before the Archon made their move. Rook's mind whirled with questions. What secrets lay hidden behind Rachel Jenkins' mask? And what role did she play in all of this? He knew one thing for certain. He had to find out.